Welcome to Civility 360, folks. Today we are having the State of Civility Summit Caribbean, and we're going to be talking about the COVID economy 2020. You know, here on Civility 360, we bring you everything you need to succeed from a 360-degree angle. This is your platform for all things civility, where civility, influence, and action are our deliverables. I am your host, Professor Vernet A. Joseph, and I am joined by my good friend and host, Global World Civility Leader, Sir Clyde Rivers. How are you doing today, my friend?
Man, Dr. B, I'm doing great, man. I'm honored to be here. It's always a pleasure to be with you on these shows.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, folks, we're going to dive in. Before we do, let me say this to you. As you join the stream, what we ask you to do is let us know what city, what state, what country, what region, what continent you are chiming in from. This is a global conversation, and we want to hear from you. Today, we're going to be discussing COVID economy 2020. I can almost guarantee no one that will be watching today would have expected to be in the exact position that they are in today, but we have a solution. So, Sir Clyde Rivers, we're going to be talking with some world leaders from around the Caribbean, and I want to just bring up some of the names so that people who are coming on board will know who we're dealing with. So we have Dr. Radha Rappersad. Talk to me. She's from Trinidad.
Man, she is bar none one of the great ladies of the world. I'm telling you, and her voice, she is so eloquent, excellent, and has a heart for humanity. And we're honored to have Radha with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we have Mr. Nelson Noel from Haiti chiming in.
Oh my goodness, this man. He is such a statesman. I mean, he is quality personified. But the big thing when I met him in Miami, this man's heart to help the world supersedes. He is one of the world's great leaders.
Wow, wow, wow. And then we have Miss Ife Badajo from St. Martin.
Ife is a legend. Ife is a legend. Anyone that thinks about economy is really thinking about their country's future. She's great.
I love it. I love it. Bringing that islandpreneur piece in. All right. Let's talk about Dr. Glendon Rudder from Trinidad and Tobago.
Glendon Rudder, there is none other than Glendon Rudder. That guy is a true gift. He's a gift from God to this world. And I'm telling you, and he's an amazing man of God that understands times and seasons and has the wisdom for the right application.
My. And then we have a treat because it's a dynamic duo. We have Miss Alicia Kipps Rudder with us today as well from Trinidad and Tobago.
Alicia Kipps Rudder, world, watch out. This is a woman that she is our golden rule dialogue women. She heard it. She grabbed it, she took it, she's moving, and she is one of the great women voices in this world today, is Alicia Kipps Rudder.
And then my good friend, my buddy, we go way back like two flat tires, all the way from Compton, California, by way right now of St. Martin. That's Dr. Will Moreland.
Let me tell you, Dr. Moreland, in my opinion, is one of the greatest strategists we have in this hour. He has a wisdom and a mind. I know to me, to call him a motivational speaker, a trainer, that's what he's known by, but he's really a global strategist. You bring that man in, that man knows how to solve things on ground level. He's one of the most brilliant voices, and we're honored to have Dr. Will Moreland with us today.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, that's the lineup for today's State of Civility Summit, folks. I am super excited to be talking about the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. And the topic, of course, as you can see on the screen, is COVID economy. Now, I want to bring in someone. We're going to kick off with Nelson. Let's start off with Nelson Noel from Haiti. Let's bring him to the forefront today. My good friend Nelson, how are you today?
I am fine, Dr. Vernet. How are you?
Phenomenal, my friend, phenomenal. Greetings and blessings to you from sunny Arizona as you are there in Haiti.
In Haiti, yes. I am very glad to participate in this global summit, Carbon Summit for COVID Economy 2020.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I must share, Sir Clyde Rivers, most of you who know me, you know that my parents are from Haiti, from Bas-Saint-Blé. So when Nelson is on the line and I see the Haitian flag in the background,
that is great.
You know, watch out now, Nelson. You never know who you're talking with or talking to.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
That is surprise, man. Ça passe.
La boule, man. La boule.
Ça passe.
Today we are talking about the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. And when I tell you the conversations that we are going to have today will be shot around the world and will return just like a boomerang. What we want you to do is get your pen and your pad out, get it ready, because the global leaders that we have on today are going to help you see things from a completely different lens. Now, we all can agree that the COVID economy has changed a little bit. But what I know is I have and we have change agents on the line. We have global leaders on the line. So let me start off by asking you this question, Nelson, if you would. What does the COVID economy look like for you on your island?
That is very great question. I'd like to honor Dr. Clyde River for his friendship, for the global work he done also, like you guys. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this global economy vision.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay, you know, when we talk about a COVID economy 2020, exactly, and we talk about CARICOM also. CARICOM is Carbon Community, is mean. It's 20 countries come together like UN to make the block economy in the islands. So when we talk about economy specific in carbon place, we have to understand about 20 countries and CARICOM and 15 states and other states also like partnership. The carbon zone represents very impactful place in the global economy and the world because it's more about 16 million of people. So now about we know small country, the economy is very slow because we don't have very good policy and governance till now in our country. But you know, the government make effort it can to prevent about the COVID situation, to bring also a sanitary and medical issue solution in our place. We can say today we have for $1 we have almost 115 goods. You can imagine the inflation is very bad for us in the economy right now. Because before, I can say 80 years ago, we need $1 American for $1 Haitian dollars. But for now, you need $20 for $1 US, more than $20 for $1 US.
Wow.
That is the situation right now in Haiti. So that means to talk about the COVID economy, the impact coming more bigger because before the COVID, it was 70%. Now it's more than 20%, the inflation here. So that means we need to have a lot of effort and a lot of new policies to prevent COVID situation. That I can say it very shortly.
Wow, wow, wow. I am glad that you're giving this information because most people do not know. So as you begin to talk about CARICOM, 20 different countries, 15 states coming together, how often do you communicate with CARICOM?
Okay, that is very impactful because the CARICOM zone have right now, I can say since 1973, the CARICOM have vision to have global social together and global economy together. So right now we can see many things happening together because every year we have many events in CARICOM, like during the COVID, the CARICOM invests also in other countries and Caribbean countries. But the key is we need more. We need more a perspective. We need more a challenge together to face the global crisis. Because you know when we talk about Caribbean places, we talk about hurricanes every year, and sometimes it's very difficult for the countries and the islands because the climate change touch sometimes more deeper the island places than a continental places. What we have to know, like information, we have in the global world more than 300,000 islands. In UN, we have 46 states islands officially. So if we have to count the global islands countries, we can have one continent like Europe. Because
Wow.
the people not talk too much about the powerful of destiny of islands. Because we talked in the beginning about a God plan. Also, we have also many verses in the Bible talking about the islands prophetic perspective, how God see the islands. You in Isaiah 42, verse 6, verse 4, he say, God will never tire, still he bring justice, you know, and freedom in the highlands and the coast places and the continental places. So we can see it in the plan of God. God have planned for the highlands countries. That's the reason I really appreciate the initiative you make, guys, Dr. Vernet, Dr. River, to make the island visible today. I give you big applause for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate you and what you're doing there. We will talk about an initiative that you have going on there, but let me ask you this question this way, Dr. Noel. Let me ask you this: what form of innovation is your island transitioning to since COVID? Because COVID is here, and it's here for the entire world. But what we must do as islanders is make sure that we're bringing forth new innovation, even in a time of COVID. So what form of innovation is Haiti transitioning to since COVID?
Okay, that is very good question. One thing I can see about the government right now, and also my focus before COVID, because I feel in my heart I have to be in Haiti for this period. People say to me, no, you have to be in US or in Europe and France in your house, but I feel in that deep situation I have to be here. Exactly 70 March I was here in Haiti, still now. So the experience I have with the citizen in Haiti is about agriculture, organical agriculture, because this is one of the powerful things in this transition time we can have in Haiti, because the agriculture in Haiti is organic, is bio. We don't use pesticide in agriculture. It's one of the places in the global Caribbean we have big feature in that moment is agriculture area. You can see in the marketplaces, people don't have toilet paper. Sorry to say that in the COVID period. And the market not have any furniture to give people services. So small countries like Haiti can be in the future good strategic platform to make the world better place in agriculture area. I create one company, we call it MEFA. And with MEFA, what we do, it's like house of entrepreneurs and farmers. What we do in this house, entrepreneurs and farmers, we bring together farmers and investors to think about the economy of tomorrow. We call it economy of tomorrow. And the economy of tomorrow, we have 2 points very important. It's agriculture system and digital system. Because today we face with new technology. Everything we do today is about Zoom, it's about video conferences. We can see the network marketing take big place in our new system. So we have to think differently, not just about local job, simple job, but we have and not we have to think new way of doing agriculture because everybody, the more 7 million of people need food every day. So that means the agriculture is very important for this new century time and the post-COVID.
I love it. I love it. Go ahead, sir. Clyde Root.
Man, I told you, Nelson is one of the voices. Nelson, what has to take place is the actual voices have to create different. And I want to get this right. Most of the issues in many countries is poverty is marketed and not the resources of the country. The resources are exploited, but the poverty's advertised. How? What do you think we could do to help shift that to where the actual value of Haiti is marketed and not the poverty?
That is very deep question. That is very deep question. I appreciate your question, Dr. Clyde Ivor. And also, I appreciate also, I'm very happy to understand Dr. Vernet background, Haitian background. That is wonderful. One of my dreams when I had 9 years old is to travel all over the world to discover the world like Cristobal Columbus discover our country. And for that, I make many efforts to speaking more than 4 languages, to study theology, to be good, to be the best. And not just the best for Haiti, but the best also to serve other nations. But today, one thing I have more than 25 years, in my life defended, for people can see Haiti differently by the way I acting, by the way I serving people, by the way I looking the world, by the way also I take action. But today, one thing I can say to make this question very clear, Haiti is a very rich country. I remember we was together, Dr. Clyde in Miami. You say something in prophetic. You say, Haitian people is the gold. And I never forget that in the golden rule. You say, Haitian people is the gold. And I had a conference meeting here with teachers, with students. I said them that. I say, repeat after me, you are the gold. We are the gold. I'm saying, Dr. Clyde said, we are the gold. You are the gold. And you can see the first of them shine. I think exactly in our company here in Mayfa Company, the House of Entrepreneurs and Asian Farmers, what we do, we create youth department. My daughter is the president of the youth department. You know what these guys do together? The goal is to bring Haiti other first to the world. Let people see Haiti other way. Let people say in Haiti we have youth intelligent, speaking many languages, have wisdom, have hope for the country. That this group of youth promoting. That is the reason I'm saying, okay, I can stay without acting. We create the campus Haiti 254 because in Haiti will have 250 years. Because the independence Haiti begin 1840 and 254, 2054, Haiti will have 250 years. That means 250 years in one nation is like middle of a century. The nation has to have economic impact. We promote Haiti 254. Why? Because we believe in 34 years we have new Haiti with big impact economy and social. We have Haiti with name. We have Haiti again take place in the global map of economy. That is the way we're acting for the new Haiti.
I really, really love, Dr. Noel, how because I was going to ask the question, and many of those who will be on after you will be asked the question about how are we engaging our youth and giving them a platform and a voice to be a part of this new economy. And when we look at the Caribbean, and anywhere in the world, to be honest with you, it is imperative that we pour into our youth. Yeah. So I am super, super excited to see the work that you are doing and to see how you are bringing the youth right along. Because listen, to be honest with you, we are literally, you're welcome, we are literally on our way out. We may not want to see that, but our time is limited. And it is imperative that we pour into the youth so that they can take the mantle and get the baton so that they can continue to run the race. So I salute you on that.
You know, Dr. Vernet, I don't take the word, a certain place economy, 60% of people is youth. 60%. Yeah. That means we have a lot to do. 60% of people in our place in the CARICOM country, more than 15 states, more than 20 countries, 60% of people that is youth have less than 30 years. Less than 30 years. You can imagine the opportunity we have to make the impact.
Great. I like that. Let me, I'm going to ask you a question and then I want to get to your solutions, because you know that as we do these State of Civility summits, we are here to talk and dialogue, but we are here to bring solutions to the world. So let me ask you this question. I heard you mention about the entrepreneurial side of it. So help me to understand what entrepreneurial forums or forms and platforms are you utilizing to advance the economy, and has the country, the island of Haiti, embraced it?
That is good question. Thank you for this question. Normally, I have my personal company located in London, in UK. We call it multiplefusion.com. This is my platform, international platform. I have also another platform, we call it onemoretimeevent.com. onemoretimeevent.com. This platform, what we do together in Global Club Billionaire, we bring together business people over the world to see how we can invest in small countries. But between the time of the COVID, I was here in Haiti, and I said, I have to create something in the COVID period. I don't want to stay just home like in prison. I have to do something, because anyhow, we can die there anywhere. So what I start, I create MEFA. I create MEFA because in the city I am with now, well, right now we call it Thomasik, and I am a consultant of the mayor, and also I'm a representative of the city hall for international cooperation project of government, international government perspective. So what I do, I create the house of entrepreneurs and the farmers right now. So what we start doing in our department, we start to bring together all farmers, we give them training, we give them certification, and we bring them in light. Some of them have 50 years working very hard, never recognition of them like professional person. And what we do, we give them certification. Some of them so happy, say, before I died, I have someone organize my profession, give me valor. Because more of them don't want to work anymore in the farm. Why? Because in Haiti, like if you're a farmer, it's like you don't educate person. But I'm come here like a normal person to work with them, go to the mountain with them, eat with them, and give them hope. And not just that, find money to invest in them. So that reason, not just we work with farmers, but we meet people have money to tell them, listen, we will develop new perspective of economy. If you invest in MEFA, 70% of the benefits is for investors, 70%. That means MEFA is for investors. 30% of MEFA go exactly for administration, for people who pay to work in MEFA. And 10% go in education, professional education and scholarship education. So that is the way we develop this perspective, Horizon 254. Everything we touch in Haiti is Horizon 254, because we believe in this 20, 30 years, 34 years, Haiti have to change the first. That is our vision, that is our dream.
Love it.
Well, we're in the business of turning dreams into reality. So you know you're connected
Yes.
to the right place.
Welcome, welcome.
Grateful for that. So let's get down to your solutions. Let's get down to your
Yes.
solutions. Give me 2 solutions that you would like to leave here at the State of Civility Summit for those who are listening to the Caribbean. I really want you to dive into those 2 solutions to help people to see how it will benefit the Caribbean. Talk to us.
Okay. I can say the Caribbean countries, I call it the new world. It's not just America like US zone. It's not just that. Because when Cristobal Columbus said the new world, it wasn't exactly in our place in Caribbean countries. It was in Haiti, it was in Cuba, he was in Bahamas. That was the place Cristobal Columbus very moved in beginning when we talk America was the new world. For me, when the Spanish people came there, more now than about the five centuries, he find gold. He found like it was paradise countries, places. And that moment it was Tainos and Indian living there. But after the Tainos, Haiti chose to keep the old Tainos Haiti to remember the story of our CARICOM, of our Caribbean countries. Today I can say the Caribbean countries is the more beautiful and opportunity platform for global economy because after they discover the new world, what we find in this region, spices. Spices sometimes you can find in India, you find it here. And that sugar, many other products was happen, coffee. And still now I can say the Caribbean platform have big opportunity for agriculture system and to develop also what we can say the digital perspective. Because with 60% of youth, less than 30 years, you can do a lot if you understand what it means and verse in people. So number one, in the area of agriculture and the area of digital, the Caribbean countries is very opportunity to bring new perspective. I will tell you something very clear quickly. When we talk about the geopolitical perspective, we see 3 things. Antarctic, we see continental countries, and we see island countries. No place in the global world so beautiful, organized, positioning like a Caribbean place. So that means about the economy, if we have to think the Caribbean economy, we have to think also sustainable development specific for island countries because some mistake we make in cooperation. We think the way we develop projects in continental countries, we can do the same in Iceland countries or coastline countries. No, it's a way of thinking about the sustainable development. I really willing and you are guys, you are big guys, to see how we can develop specific cooperation for coastline and islands countries because the challenge we face is totally different than continental countries. We are totally atypical, different than all over the world place countries, islands and coastlands. The economy is different, the culture is different, the view of environment is different, all is different. That means we need other intellectual perspective to see development economy in those countries. And I can say the COVID is big opportunity right now to see new global economy in these countries coming to inverse in MEFA and Haiti and the all Caribbean countries because we need guys like you.
Wow. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dr. Nelson Noel, for bringing your perspective on the COVID economy. We want you to hang tight. Don't go away. We're going to our next person right now. But just in case people have questions or thoughts,
thank you, Nelson.
Time in. Nelson, we really, really do appreciate your perspective, my friend.
I love you guys. I love you, I love you guys.
Nelson,
thank you for the word.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great. That's great.
Next up, Dr. Rivers, we are going to bring in what I call our island swinger. This is a young lady who I've had the pleasure of working with several times in St. Martin. Her name is Miss Ife Badajo. She is the islandpreneur. She has a wealth of knowledge. She's been around and she does great work. So I want to bring to the stage next Miss Ife Badajo. Blessings, Ife. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. It is a true honor to be here. I'm so excited to connect with you and Dr. Rivers and all the panelists. I would be remiss if I did not give honor where honor is due. So I would like to, of course, thank the Most High for making this all possible. In Him I live, move, and have my very being. But I also would like to thank yourself, Dr. Clyde Rivers, for this opportunity. Of course, Dr. Alicia M. Jobati Liverpool, my mentor and friend who afforded me this opportunity, and my mama and my daddy, because I would not be who I am without them either.
Wow. Well, we're honored. You have so much life. I know wherever you go, you just encourage people so well. And I love meeting people like you. You are what give us hope for the future.
Absolutely. Well, Ife, we know that you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to what we're talking about in the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. As we talk about the COVID economy, my first question, as I would ask everyone, is what would you say, or what does the COVID economy look like right now in St. Martin?
If you look at the COVID economy anywhere in the world, it is a bit unnerving. So if we're looking at what the numbers are saying, the UN put out an impact study recently that said they're expecting for Latin America and the Caribbean 9.1% contraction GDP. But the IMF and the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin put out a report specific to St. Martin that indicated that it will be as high as 25% contraction. That is a negative 25% growth. And then if you're looking at post-Irma, where we suffered $2.6 billion in damages and losses about 3 years ago, just about, that was 5.4% contraction. So that was only negative 5.4%. So we're looking at about 5 times more of an economic backlash. In this region, the numbers indicate that this would be the worst recession, and they're trying to stay away from the word depression, ever in the history of this region. That's with the natural eyes, right? That's what, if you're looking with it from an economist perspective and you're just crunching numbers. If you're looking at it from the divine perspective, there is a whole world of opportunity.
Come on now, girl.
I'm very excited. I think it's a unique opportunity because the whole world is looking to the islands right now. I firmly believe that the next major innovation is going to come from this region. We've had innovations coming from North America, from Europe, even from Africa, from Asia, but it is my firm conviction that the next big innovation will come from the islands for a variety of reasons. We are known to the UN as small island developing states. So let me just allow me a few seconds to kind of give some context. There is 11% of the world's population is on islands. 1% is on small island developing states, islands like St. Martin, St. Kitts, Anguilla, islands in the east, the Maldives. And out of that 1% world population representation, we account for about 20 to 25% at the UN. We hold a lot of seats there. And we have a very unique perspective. We are very susceptible and vulnerable to external shocks. That includes climatic changes. Like I said, Hurricane Irma in Haiti, they've had earthquakes, they've had hurricanes. In Trinidad, we just heard before this call that Gonzalo was in the area and they had earthquakes a couple of years ago, I believe. St. Martin is right in that hurricane belt. Then we're looking at also what that means as the result of climate change. So we're looking at when there's all of the pollution, when you're looking at all of the bottles in the water and no plastics, there are places in this region where you have literally a sea of bottles that have traveled from North America or wherever else and found themselves in our waters. And then we're also susceptible to geopolitical and economic shocks. For that reason, we are resilient. We know what a shock is. So we know how to recover from shock. This is a little bit unusual because everybody's going through the same shock. So now it requires a different level of innovation, a different level of commitment, a different level of insight to be able to come with the solutions that the world needs.
Wow. So you what I'm hearing you say basically is we can't create policies on like yesterday.
No, absolutely not.
See, and one thing that I see that happens is many times people try to bring new into old institutions, and as you talked about the opportunities, I always tell people faith is not quarantined. Faith can't be quarantined. So if God gives an idea, he can give thousands of ideas right now and turn the economies around. And one of the things that I really believe is institutions that are putting out data about these actual countries. Half of it is see to me it's a spiritual battle too, because if they can get you to buy a negative prognosis, people act in faith for the negativity. That's why when I heard you say the opportunity, that's a phenomenal thing. So people like you are what we need to hear, because God did not create countries for famine.
No. And here's the other thing. We have to also take ownership of where we're at. Many of us and many of our countries did not do the due diligence so that when something like this hits, we won't be in this kind of a position. That we need to just acknowledge the elephant in the room. We have had bad financial management. We've had corrupt governments. We've had different things of that nature that contribute to where we're at right now. However, there is still opportunity. And why I'm so excited about the opportunity is because I see it mushrooming and taking place. It is evidence. Many people all of a sudden started to do the thing that they did not get a chance to do before, because guess what? They were quarantined. They were put in a position where they had no other choice but to dig deep and bring out that purpose and bring out that idea and build that business and do things of that nature. My mom, who is 71 years old, she looks fabulous. Started Aging with Grace, 16 weeks, 4 months weekly program talking about how to age with grace and looking at how, and she's 71 years old. So when I hear, oh, well, you know, digital is young, no, it is resilient. It is what we need. It is how we're going to be able to propel forward. And as you can hear, I'm very passionate about that topic because the hurricane can't touch online. And let's look at the numbers as well, right? Because I'm a faith person and I'm a numbers person.
Yeah.
From the perspective of numbers, the one economy that did not suffer, that did not contract, in fact, that multiplied, was the digital economy. Whether that was online gaming, online entertainment, whether that was video conferencing, whether that was e-commerce and Amazon hiring 40,000 people in the first 6 weeks of the COVID-19, whatever it was, we can't pretend like this thing is only a negative result, because it's not a negative result for everybody. So we need to stay focused on what we want to achieve. Not $1 to my knowledge has left the planet and gone to Mars. And it's multiplying. It's here. And we're now in the trillions of dollars that are circulating the planet. We have a trillionaire. We have $1 trillion businesses. So for the islands, being digital is where we can thrive. They want food. They want our culture. They want to at least get to taste the beach and the sand and the mojito, even if they can't get on the plane to come here. Dr. V knows he's been to St. Martin many times just for that one reason.
Watch it. Watch it.
They have I did an event recently, and I know for a certain that COVID-19 offered me the opportunity, and I know that that sounds weird, and I don't want to sound insensitive because I know that many people are hurting. And at the same time, I have to acknowledge the opportunity that it afforded me.
Absolutely.
So Islandpreneur Live 2020 took place about a month ago. 650 people registered, 500 people streaming on day one. And that was the largest. Now, there is not one location on St. Martin that can comfortably hold 650 people with physical distancing. And the cost of it would be ridiculous, astronomical. And I was able to accomplish that with partners, with my team, with the Central Bank, with the Dutch Caribbean Securities Exchange, with Jeff Hoffman from Global Entrepreneurship Network, with Leslie Samuel. I mean, all of these different wonderful people were able to take part, and people streamed on because of COVID. We have an opportunity right here, right now, where we're streaming to thousands of people because of COVID. We would not be able to reach the same numbers if we did not have this kind of a platform. So when we're looking at this situation, the COVID economy allows us to thrive differently, to make sure that we're thriving in uncertainty. As a firm believer, it is imperative that we represent well, which means that we thrive in season and out of season. And so we need to be that representation in the earth realm, and they're looking for it because so many people are hurting. I don't want to minimize that at all. I know that I sound like a cheerleader, but I'm not ignorant to what's happening, the realities of many people. And for that reason, I'm involved with the Red Cross. We're doing a program that's a 24-week program, actually, for their beneficiaries, giving them entrepreneurial skill sets. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce. We're coming up with different kinds of programs as well through there. I have been able to work with some fantastic people. Micro Mentors, another organization originally from Portland, Oregon, that offers free online mentoring for entrepreneurs. So there is a wealth of opportunity. We have to focus on what we want to achieve and not limit ourselves by the water.
Well. I told you that she was going to be the
Dr. Ife's a cold number, man.
Listen to me. I don't bring no one to the table who's not going to hit it out the
park. And the match.
Man. Listen. And then I've got to say, her 71-year-old mom is right there on the screen, Miss Linda Richardson. That's mama right there. I see you, mama. All right, proud mom. Listen, Ife, honestly, and this is what I love about what we do and how we're doing it. Let me ask you this, and you've kind of alluded to it already.
Yes.
I want to know, what new infrastructures have you created since the COVID economy? I specifically want you to talk about Islandpreneur. I want you to talk about, what we've discussed about creating weeks that people would come to the islands and be able to experience not just vacation, not just tourism, but that they will get life change, as we have talked Civility talks before. Help us to understand, what new infrastructures have you created since the COVID?
So before I answer that question directly, let me, I just want to highlight something that was revealed to me on a trip when I went to Cuba with my family a few years ago. Money is the lowest form of abundance. Creativity is the highest form of abundance. So being able to tap into your creativity is going to make you abundant in and out of season. I say that because a lot of people are looking for money, but they're not getting creative.
Come on now.
In this period, we got creative. We started doing webinars throughout the entire, what I like to call it, the National Protective Custody Program, AKA lockdown. So we did free webinars through then, and that built up to Islandpreneur Live 2020, the event. Now, as you know, Dr. V, I've been kind of playing around with that terminology for some time now, because that fits me. I'm an island woman. I love the islands, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I just kind of went with that. But Islandpreneur Network is actually what our next step is. So because of the overwhelming success, we're starting Islandpreneur Network that is going to soft launch in August. And it's focused on creating a community of islandpreneurs and allies to create bigger and global impact in the world. Like I said, we believe that the next innovation, the great innovation, is going to come from this region. We know how to deal with water issues. We know how to deal with hurricanes. We know how to deal with economic limitations. We know how to deal with so many different aspects that the world is confused on how to deal with. We know how to do it. We're just not getting the platform and connecting with the right people and leveraging the relationships to do so. And as you know, Dr. V, I'm big on collaboration. So we're working on that. That's our next step. It is designed to inspire, inform, and invest. We want to create investment opportunities and bring smart investment dollars to this region. There are brilliant people here, and there are brilliant islanders elsewhere, and they don't know, they want to be able to connect and they don't know how. So we want to create a vehicle, a platform to allow them to do so. So that is the Islandpreneur Network specifically.
Love it, love it, love it. Let me say this. Listen to me very clearly, those of you who will be watching the replay. We don't bring secondhand people to our platforms. We bring number ones. So what I want is that everyone who's listening right now, share this platform with anyone that you know who may be on an island or from an island. Why? Because this information is a necessity to get to governmental ears. You see, what I believe is business is the thing that makes the world go round, and small business is the backbone of every economy. So as we build business and business relationships, collaborations, and partnerships, this is how our world now collides, and we build a network that is worth keeping. So share this out to all of your networks and to islanders in specific.
Great.
Ife, let me ask you this question, and then after this question, I would love to get 2 solutions from you and the statement that you want to make right now, okay? And this is a simple question, and I think it may even be in the area of the statement that you're getting ready to go to. How are you incorporating the youth in your platform, that next generation, especially when it comes to business, education, and economics?
Well, we have always included the youth in our programming. So we have been able to reach more than 1,000 youth through different events that we do at the schools themselves. Dr. V, you've been with us too at PSVE, and we're very intentional about choosing the schools that are often overlooked, because we believe that that's where all of that entrepreneurial, creative, innovative energy lies. They're not academicians, they are doers and get it doners. And so we want to support them and encourage them. Right now, what we're focused on is continuing that relationship. We have a very good relationship with the University of St. Martin. We also have a good relationship with Fort K State University, which is based out of Kansas. And then further down the line, we're investigating how do we create a school of islandpreneurs. So just how we did it. And let me just give us a short story. My goddaughter is 12 years old. My goddaughter has been baking since she was 6. My goddaughter, post-Irma, Hurricane Irma, started her company, Boulder Bacon, and sells these amazing cupcakes, mini cupcakes, and makes very good money. And she buys her own school supplies, and she manages it well, and she knows how to deposit her money, and she knows how to withdraw her money, and all of that good stuff. And I was inspired because at a younger age, I got certified as a youth entrepreneurship trainer. So the youth has always been and will always be at the core of what I do. I see some friends of mine like Lenworth Wilson on here, who's a fabulous edupreneur. So we will be working out these details with our counterparts and partners all over the world.
Without question. Now, let's dive in. I already know all of this about Ife. I'm just giving everybody an opportunity to learn this about her. So, Ife, let's dive into 2 solutions. 2 solutions that you would give to the Caribbean islands as a whole, and especially to St. Martin, so that they can hear what's going on. Let's talk about it.
Solution number 1, this right here. Solution number one is this. We are consumers of the digital world. We're not producers in the digital world. And the digital economy is $1 trillion economy. So we need to produce more digitally. They love our music. They love our swag. They love the way we put together things. They love even here, like we're talking about entrepreneurship, but the response of how I see entrepreneurship is different than someone else because it's different. I'm from St. Martin. I have a Nigerian father. I am a Caribbean woman. It is different. And so offering different. And then there is a report on the orange economy. The orange economy is the creative industries, which also includes the digital economy. And the Caribbean is the #1 underutilized, underdiscovered region in the world with the highest potential to leverage from the orange economy.
Wow.
It is a report. I didn't make this up. I can share that with you, and you can disseminate it with your viewers and your audience. But that is it. We need to showcase the world who we are. Jeff Hoffman said it at Islandpreneur. He's like, instead of trying to get people to the islands, get the islands to the people. Figure out how to do that. And everyone knows how to tap into their phone, to go on Facebook, to go on Instagram, to send emails, but we're not producing in the digital economy. So that's solution number one. And also, it is scalable. It doesn't require a lot of capital investment. Most of us have the digital skill set, but if there is a bridge gap, then we can gap that. It's not impossible to gap that. And then the other aspect of it is that it's $1 trillion economy, people. I mean, like trillion, like 12 zeros. This is not rocket science. So yeah, that's one. Number two is we need to collaborate more. And that's why Islandpreneur Network is being birthed at this particular moment in time. We meet as island people and as allies because there are a lot of people like Dr. Will. Dr. Will is not originally from the islands. He came to St. Martin one time. I invited him to speak at my event. He landed. He told me as he landed the airport, Ife, I'm moving to St. Martin. And I was like, hey, that's so nice. Oh, you're so cute. You don't know this place yet. And now he's moved here. So we have islandpreneurs and we have allies, and we need to work together intentionally, strategically, purposefully. The solutions. We have the solutions. Every problem has a solution. There is not one problem that does not have a solution.
You better believe it. I love it. I love it. You better believe. Listen, we have joined and wrote the book. I have a solution. So you know we understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
Great information, Ife. Please hold the line. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure people are going to have questions towards the ending. We are super excited that you're on the line with us.
Don't you go anywhere, girl. Don't you go nowhere.
I'm here.
Thank you.
And super blessings to Dr. Alicia Liverpool for actually letting Ife know about what we were getting ready to do. So thank you.
Wow.
Again, Ife, hold the line and we'll get back to you. Blessings. Listen, folks, we didn't come to play any games. So I want you to understand that as we talk the State of Civility Summit Caribbean, this is what we bring, a 360-degree angle with #1 shooters to help you to see from a different perspective. We have Dr. Glendon Rudder, who is going to be joining us from Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to be bringing him on the line in just a moment. Listen, Sir Clyde Rivers, how you feeling, my friend?
Man, I'm speechless. Speechless. Ife crushed it, and Nelson, I'm like, see. Let me tell you something. It is my job to help create stages for people to be heard around the world. If we expect the image to ever change, we have to have people that are different than the model that's been presented.
Yes.
So our commitment is to bring these stages around the world and help elevate people to the highest stages, because Ife and Dr. Nelson, they ought to be on stages all over the world.
All over the world.
That's that's our job to make sure platforms, because Dr. V, nobody buys a product, they buy a person.
Come on,
When
sir.
they buy the person, then they buy the product.
That's it. All day, every day. And as you know, we're bringing you civility all day, every day, anywhere and everywhere, folks. I just want to recap really quickly. And Sir Clyde Rivers, I'm going to say that school of islandpreneurs, we're going to create that, man. That's a done deal, right? That's a done deal. We've got to do that. Nelson, you know, with me, you're already making it happen. This is why the Civility platform is so important. And if you're listening to the show today and you see yourself connecting with the Caribbean and bringing forth change, I'm talking investors, I'm talking people who want to move, whatever the case may be, we have the solution. That's what I want you to know. We have the solution, and we're bringing world leaders from all around the world to help you see that it is possible. All right. We're going to bring Dr. Glendon Rudder to the stage. Let's see. My good friend, Dr. Rudder, how you doing? From Trinidad and Tobago.
Rudder!
Well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here, Dr. Vernet and Sir Dr. Clyde Rivers. It's a pleasure. I want to thank God for you providing this platform, not just for me and my wife Alicia, but all the folks who spoke a while ago. Dr. Ife, you were magnificent. You really blew the thing out of the park. I feel like we can end the thing here and just see the things work, man. You excellent, and our brother Doctor from Haiti was really, really informative. And I do believe that we are positioned as a region to really show the world what we have got. And the setting is right. The stage is ready. So let's just do it.
Man, Dr. V, let me talk to Dr. Rudder. Glendon, you have a philosophy called human equity value. And you know, one thing that I can tell you is in countries that have poverty, let me tell you what a challenge is. The mindset, the mentality. Can you talk about the mentality shift that has to be made for others to handle? Because watch this, Dr. V. You know, right now, if we sent billions of dollars to people that are poor, the ones that actually sent the billion would have it back within a matter of days, because the minds of people don't know how to manage. So, Dr. Rudder, could you talk about the mindset that has to change in order to actually manage its own currency?
Yes. You know, when you think of mindset, that is one of the most important things. And we must think about even what Paul said in Romans 12. He said that transformation cannot come without the renewing of the mind. And that might sound very biblical because we have, you know, put everything in such a biblical context. But there's some biblical context that can actually transform the world, transform the secular mentality. And so we are talking about, to answer your question, we must have transformation. And transformation can only come by renewing the mindset, renewing the mentality. Until we have a renewed mentality, we will not see transformation. We can talk transformation, we can talk about transformation, but if the mind is not renewed and we don't know what or how to renew the mindset, to renew the mentality, we will not see the transformation. Transformation in a society doesn't come by transforming systems. You can transform a system, but if you don't transform the mindset of the people that have to benefit from the system, there will be no transformation. You will have a system that appears to be transforming society, but that's not happening. We need to transform the mindset, and to do that, I have created something called human equity value. Not human equality value, but human equity value, which speaks of, first, the recognition of human value. If we do not begin to recognize the value of the human being, the intrinsic value of human being, we will get absolutely nothing done. Human equity value is a game changer, is a mind changer. It will change the mentality, to create a mentality shift in government, in law and order, the judiciary, education, because it's a new paradigm, it's a new narrative. So we're not just looking at the recognition of human value. And let me say this: when I say recognition of human value, I'm speaking about every human being, those that are of every race, every color, even special needs. No matter who you are, we need to recognize your human value and give you the equity entitlement. Secondly, human equity value is not just the recognition of human value, but the consideration of human value. You cannot recognize my value and not consider it. You cannot say, we hear you, we know what you're going through, but show no consideration. So that's the second part. You need to recognize, acknowledge my human value, consider my human value, and thirdly, you need to protection. The most of the reason why we're not going forward is because human value is not protected. So we don't need to recognize your human value. We don't even need to consider it because it's not protected. And the only way to protect it is to have what I call human value procurement. Human value procurement. HVP.
I got you. I'm tracking.
Go ahead.
But when it comes to human value procurement, you're talking about writing the necessary policies to protect human value. So therefore, when we get into a situation like COVID, when we get into situations that might be domestic, that might come as local as multi-billion-dollar companies that come in to come into the Caribbean, they make money in the Caribbean, and when there's a situation, they will do a foreclosure, they will close that company down, send workers home. There's nothing to protect those workers, and those companies will go back to the first world countries, So we need something to protect human value, and we need policies necessary to bring that. So if something happens in our country where the economy is concerned, there's a downturn where that is concerned, there's policies that makes it very clear. You need to consider not your billion-dollar industry. You need to consider the human value that contributed to your billion-dollar industry. You need to consider the human value that contributed to your success. Before you can make any rash decision, you need to recognize, consider human value that is protected and procured.
Come on, Dr. Glendon Rudder, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, making it happen. Talking about human equity value and value procurement. Are you all picking up what we are putting down today? Man, this is what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for that information, Dr. Rudder. You know, oftentimes people think, as Ife was saying, and everyone has been saying, that just because something is happening doesn't mean that the world is over. Innovation, ingenuity. I'm talking about, man, what have we created since this COVID economy has hit us? We can be quarantined physically, but we cannot be quarantined mentally. And what we have on with us today are people who are showing you that they've been in the lab. They're showing you that they have, watch this, the stuff that it takes to change the economy. Let's start taking these factors. Let's start taking this mindset. Let's start putting these solutions into actions so that our economies can begin to boom and thrive, even in a time when they think it shouldn't be. Is anybody picking up or hearing
Jesus.
what we're saying today on the State of Civility Summit Caribbean? Because these are some great ideas, but what we're going to need now is for ideas to actually take root and now produce fruit. And that's why we have these summits, is to bring solutions to the problem. Now, let me ask you this question, Dr. Rudder. How has the institutional thinking aided in a poverty mindset on the island? How has institutional thinking aided the poverty mindset on the island?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. When I saw that question, I said, I wonder if he's going to ask me that question.
Wow, 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 wow.
And you did. And you did. But that's the thing about it. I love the terminology, institutional thinking, and how it has aided the poverty mindset. You know, there are advantages and disadvantages to institutional thinking. And we're going right back, Dr. Vernet, to mentality.
Come on now.
Listen, if you can present institutional thinking to a people that could be meant to help a people, but if you don't shift the mentality of the people, institutional thinking can actually do some damage to the poverty mindset. Because, like in my country, there's a wide spectrum, there's a wide group of people that believe, listen, we don't want to do the hard work of being entrepreneurs. That's too hard. Even though there's so much programs, there's so much things that are created by the government. There's so many people that think they're not qualified, they're not good enough. And so what they do is remain within a poverty thinking that the government has to help me. We were going to give you our votes, and when you win, help us. Without any responsibility to change our thinking. And I think what institutional thinking is trying to do is to try to change the mindset of these very same people, but sometimes they refuse that transition. They refuse to make that transition because it's too hard. And that's what we were talking about before. We need sometimes, before institutional thinking can aid in the poverty mindset, you need to change the poverty mindset. If you don't change the poverty mindset, there's little that institutional thinking can do for anyone.
Wow.
Well, listen, if the pitch was thrown to Dr. Glendon today, he knocked it out the park, right? He said, I didn't know if you were going to ask me that question, but man, okay, I see that you're ready. Let me ask you this question. How do we develop a thriving and sustainable economy above tourism?
Whoa. We need to do that. We have depended on tourism so much. I think was Dr. Can you pronounce her name? Ife?
Badajo. Yep.
Dr. Ife spoke along some of those lines in the sense that she didn't want persons to misrepresent or have a misconception when she said COVID presented an opportunity. But I think COVID has presented an opportunity on a global scale. It has forced us into the background. We have had some nations, governments might have had some things on the background, on the drawing board, that they were not able to convince the wider society that we are ready to use this. COVID-19 came along and everyone realized that what we have been planning, what we have been drawing, it's necessary. Listen to this. I can speak about our COVID economy in our country in two ways: the pre-COVID economy and the post-COVID economy. Now, before COVID, we did not know that we had we didn't know we had a pre-COVID economy because COVID had not arrived as yet, and we did not know we had a post-COVID economy because it had not arrived. But when COVID came, we realized that we have both a pre and post-COVID. Now, what takes place in the middle? We need to have local economy. We need to grow our local economy because tourism is not really striving at this point because the borders are locked down. No one is coming into the country. No one is going out. It's like Jericho. The Bible said no one went in, no one came out.
Come on now. Yeah.
The borders, Jericho locked up their borders very tight, right? To stop what was outside from coming in. But, you know, because the borders are closed and we cannot, and it's just close to domestic traveling, not just domestic, but human traveling. We have left the borders open for cargo trade, cargo ships, cargo planes will still come in and stuff like that. And what we have seen is the need to grow the local economy, even community economy. And we could go straight back as to family economy. Let me give you an example. My family in particular. What my wife decided to do early is to venture into the psychology market, the market of psychology, because everyone was at a point in time looking at business. Business was booming. Everyone was doing business degrees, which is good. We need that. But at the time that she chose to do psychology, it wasn't a big, large market. Now, psychology is such a big market. It's her niche. People need counseling for COVID. People need counseling for everything. And so what my wife has been able to do is to create an economy, a family economy. Then there's community economy, which will go to local economy. And what that can do is grow our SME, which is a small, medium enterprise. That's what we are focusing on right now. If we are able to grow and expand our small, medium enterprises, the local economy, the domestic economy is going to grow to a certain extent that when the borders are reopened, tourism economy will not know what hit it. And we'll be in a better place economically if we do it right.
Yes. Building from the bottom up is better.
Building from the bottom up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Whatever's on your mind.
Sorry.
Building from the bottom up is SME. When you look at SME, as you mentioned, small, medium enterprise, it's small business. That's all it is. And what we must do in this season is to get innovative, get ingenuitive, right? And help the youth to come alongside of us to give us different insight. Because as we know, the Caribbean cannot be crushed just because there's no tourism. We just have to start looking at it from a different perspective and saying, what commodity do we own? You know, as I heard Dr. Nelson say, you know, we're talking spices, salt, sugar, chocolate, all of these things, right? Well, when are we going to take it back and make sure that it belongs to us and distribute it to the rest of the world? Instead of giving them, go ahead, Sir Clyde Rivers.
Because what has to happen is I tell young people, don't sell your idea, grow it. What happens is the actual smartest system in the world, the most powerful countries in the world are not powerful because of their military might. They're powerful because of their scholarship. The scholarship gets the best brains out of every country, come and erase their brain from their own country and put another mindset in and send them back to their countries, and they work for us. So people don't grow. Let me tell you, right now I own the World Civility stage. People want to buy it every day. I'm like, that's not going to happen. This is a stage that we built, because hear this, when you sell your intellectual property, you're owned by the buyer. When you grow your network, when you grow it. And hear this, it's important to grow it for this reason. The education that you get during the growth will maintain you and will sustain you in the next level. Because if God is growing you, he's educating you to something bigger. He says, when you're faithful over little, you'll be ruler over much. Now, hear this. One of the great things that actually system thinking does, system thinking makes you think that God is the system. So now you depend on the system and not God. And this is why I love what's taking place here. I encourage you, do not sell your idea because somebody comes for money. Grow your idea and you'll get their money, because if they like your idea, they'll buy your product.
All day, every day. All day, every day. Don't sell your inheritance because someone shows up with an idea. Your idea, your insight, your commodity, your livelihood, your legacy is in your island, and you cannot sell your legacy. It's not wise to sell your livelihood. So I think in this time, Dr. Glendon, that what we have right now is an opportunity. COVID, yes, it has presented multiple opportunities for us to get back in line where God wanted us to be in the first place. And when we start building those SMEs, those small, medium enterprises, and coming up with new ingenuity, more innovation, and bringing in our youth, our islands will start to boom, even in the midst of what so-called is a pandemic, start of a depression or recession. I don't receive those titles. What I receive is that I'm a child of the Most High God. What I receive is He's given me all that I need to succeed in this life. What I know is if I have the right partnerships, collaborations, and relationships, that God will help us to build our islands. God will help us to transform our, watch this, economies. And we can make it happen. I believe it. And all we need to do is make sure that we continue to do our very best. We are all created with a measure of faith. And the question is, what do we do with that measure of faith? How do we bring that thing forward and bring it forth so that the world can benefit from it? Listen, folks. I hope that you all are picking up what is being put down throughout this Civility Summit. I know without a shadow of a doubt that you are writing. I mean, my pen and my pad is out right now.
Yeah.
So I hope that you all are picking up, even from different islands, things that will work in the Caribbean. Nelson, you said it so wonderfully. Man, it is so important for us to understand and stand up things that will work for our island. Not you've got coastal, you've got this. You've got to know what works for you. And that, to me, is extremely important. So, Dr. Glendon Rudder, let me ask you, give us two solutions that we can share with the world about what can help them in this COVID economy.
Well, one of the solutions I think about, I created a narrative called sustainable civility. The reason why we lack going forward economically and prospering is because of the lack of sustainable civility. So sustainable, this one solution might be, I might have time to give you a second because of how it's going to break down. So sustainable civility is what? And I got this, listen, I got this from the book of Exodus, right? God wanted to give Israel a sustainable civility. So what did He do? The first thing that you must offer the people is liberty. We must redefine liberty. God had told Moses to tell Pharaoh, let my people go so that they may worship me, that they may serve me. We got to allow people to find their niche. We got to allow people to venture into their dreams and their visions, as it were. So we need to create sustainable civility. We need to give people liberty, because we are trying to sustain economy. But the more we try to create a sustainable economy, we are faced with corruption. We are faced with indiscretion. We are faced with things that are unfair. We are faced with inequity, because there's no checks and balances. There's nothing protecting that process. So we need to have sustainable civility. We need to give people liberty. Secondly, We need, what God did was give Israel liberty, and then he gave them dignity. You cannot say that you are giving people liberty and do not give them dignity. And Dr. Ife, she was saying the Caribbean region is one of the most wealthiest regions in terms of creativity and innovation, but we have been underestimated because of a global mindset. Who was the person that looked at Trinidad and Tobago? Who was the person that looked at St. Martin and Haiti and dubbed us as third world? What is that?
Come on now.
Wow.
That to me is not adding value to a region. It is devaluing an entire region. And they have been successful in convincing the world that certain nations are third degree, third world. I never heard second world. Where's the second world?
Come on now.
I heard about first world and third world. Who is second world? And who gave the person the right to determine, and what determines a third world? What determines a developing nation? Because right now, what the COVID economy has done is crippled the economy of first world nations and has boosted the economy of third world nations.
Oh my God.
The COVID economy is leveling the playing field. I'm not speaking about equality. I'm not speaking about equal value. Our economy as a small nation, 1.5, 1.3 million people, we don't have the equal value of the United States of America. I'm speaking about equity value. Equity has nothing to do with equal in terms of GDP and the population of a country. Equity is what a nation produces, how a country survives through COVID. And there are third world nations that are doing better than some first world nations. So they have equity. They are getting equity value. Trinidad has been named by Oxford University as the #1 nation in the world that have dealt with the COVID-19 situation. #1 in the world by Oxford University. That's acquiring equity value as a nation. Our credibility as a nation has gone up and not gone down, right? And so we are adding value. So today, what is happening is that how you determine the value of a nation is changing. It is being determined based on equity and not just you make. But let me say this quickly before I end. Not just the liberty of a people and the dignity. What Dr. Ife was saying is that we need the dignity that we deserve. The dignity as Caribbean region. We need that dignity. And if we are not given that dignity, we need to produce, we need to show that we have a dignity, and we must be respected for the dignity. If we don't have the dignity, people would not take seriously. And so dignity. And we need to have.
Now the thing is so hot. It's so hot that the connection is dropping, man. Come on, man. You can't tell me that we're not giving you fire today.
Oh my goodness.
Are you all picking up what has been put down thus far? Listen to me. Dr. Glendon Rudder has been dropping nuggets of wisdom. We've had Nelson Noel. We've had Ife Badger. People, are you all hearing what is going on today? Listen, the connection was so hot, Dr. Rudder. It was so hot, they tried to take you off, huh? Man, I just want to say, that we appreciate you, man, and all your existence, what you're bringing to the table, and how you're showing up. Why? Because people need to know that it's possible. They need to see people who look like them making a difference, making a change in their communities. So I hope those who will be watching on the replay, those who are from the islands, in the islands, whether you're on a different island, it doesn't matter, right? Because when we talk the Caribbean, these are just the first few islands that we've been talking to. We have so many more that we need to tap into. So I want you all to make sure, one, that you check out each person that is on the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. Then I want you to follow up with them on social media. I want you to look out for the international article that is going to come out after this summit, because these are the world changers that are going to help make it happen. Are you picking up what I am putting down? I sure hope so. Dr. Rudder, we are super excited and grateful and thankful for you and you sharing what you've shared with us today. We have the dynamic duo, so we're going to slide over and let Alicia Kipps Rudder on the line from Trinidad and Tobago, as we talk a little bit more about the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. My. Well, good afternoon, Alicia. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's such a pleasure to meet you all and to go after that. Listening to everyone. One thing is just going through my mind is that golden rule, you know, treating others the way that, you know, it's just keep coming up over and over and over again. So it's such a pleasure to be here and to be part of this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, Alicia, I'm grateful and thankful to have you on the line today. I know that you and your husband do so much on the island of Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to start off actually by asking you, how are you impacting Trinidad? I want the people to know how you are impacting Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, firstly, impacting Trinidad, we have a church. I was so happy when Dr. Rivers spoke about the spiritual aspect. We are living in a time when we really need to go back to what God is saying and to hear what God is saying. And what we are doing, we are seeing transitions happening in the church. We are seeing so many people, the spiritual aspect of it. You know, in terms of what everyone was speaking about, the mentality, we are seeing where, because you can open doors for people and they have a mental barrier or a spiritual barrier, and they can't see that door open. So in terms of empowering people in the church, you know, we have that in our church. Our church is not a big church, but it's full of people who are, you know, gifted in their own aspect, in their own spheres. And what we are doing, that is one way we are impacting Trinidad and Tobago and the world. The other area is Women of Golden Rule Trinidad and Tobago. So I was honored to go to Grand Rapids, where I met with Dr. Rivers. And he gave us a narrative and he said, you know, take something and go back and develop it. I thought about it, you know, he gave us something, golden rule, treating others the way that you want to be treated. And I took it and we developed a group of women, dynamic women. And what we do, we go, we are about solutions, because that is what it's about. Everything that you are asking for solutions. So we are impacting people in Trinidad and Tobago. We are impacting families. Right now, we are preparing conversations with Women of Golden Rule Trinidad and Tobago because of the impact of relationships during COVID, depression and stuff. We are now preparing ourselves to empower families in Trinidad and Tobago.
You see, Dr. V, Alicia Rudder is an action person. She's someone that when she hears it, she goes and she makes it happen. And you know what, Alicia, you are hitting relevant issues, families in that COVID. I mean, it's in America. Domestic violence is increasing, divorce is increasing during this period of time, and you know, if you can't look at a healthy economy with unhealthy families. When you have an unhealthy family structure, you're going to produce an unhealthy economy at some point because of the internal damage mentally. So as you're working in this in the realm you're working in, what do you see the spiritual aspect and the mental health aspect? Where is I'm seeing a gap in that area. I'm seeing that people either call it mental or spiritual. Is there
Yes.
a bridge between the two that can help put things back in place?
There is a bridge. Actually, Dr. Rivers, I look at the COVID-19 as adversity is the biggest catalyst for change. What it does, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And it creates a platform where you are able now to do something that you couldn't do before. So there is a gap between that mental aspect, the psychological person, and what you will need to do as a person. Because I like this summit thing that we are doing, because there are so many things that are on social media. There are so many people coming out. And if you look recently, I would not call the person's name, but we look at a young man who just launched for presidency of America, and he got a mental breakdown. And you are looking at people who are going after something, but mentally they are not well. So there is a gap. So what you have to do, you have to go back to the drawing board and look at the mental capacity of the person and the spiritual aspect. And if there's adversity rising, come on, you must believe that God is doing something big. You must believe that this is something for you to go back and search within yourself the gifts that you have. And what does God want you to learn in this season? What does he want you to do in this season? So it's going to shake you out. So we have to look at that adversity. Sometimes people, you think that they are mentally ill, but they are really not mentally ill. It's just that they are disorganized and they need somebody to really empower them and bring out that gift inside of them. And I believe when you empower people and you cause them to link that gap, that you are going to push them forward and that they are going to grow, so to speak.
Wow.
Love it, love it, love it. Let me ask you this, Alicia. What are some of the alternative economies that you are seeing? Everyone has been talking about the COVID economy, but in the midst of the COVID economy, what are some alternative economies that we can actually turn up during this time?
Right. When COVID happened in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the things that our prime minister did, we had phases just like everyone else, and there was a shutdown. But I realized that we had to go back to the basics. We had to go back to agriculture, right? And this was something that was amazing because we had no KFC, we had no fast food outlets open. So you were getting families together at home, going outside in the yard, dirtying their hands, planting celery and parsley, planting their own food, which is going back to, when it was so in the beginning. You were having families, they are, neighbors are exchanging or doing bartering. So they are giving food stuff, and so people are growing stuff. So agriculture was one of the biggest things that came forth. As a matter of fact, it is still happening, even though, we were looking at, and, we were kicking as Trinidadians, and we were looking at, when KFC opened back up, everybody will be rushing. But it was not like that. People were still rushing home. People were still growing their food. People were still selling their food. So actually, that was one of the economy that came forth from COVID. And as a result, you are seeing people who are able to make money, because this is a time when you are talking about the financial aspect is going down. Now, our government was able to give grants, because some people, they lost their jobs and all of that. So going back to agriculture and poultry was able to create an economy where people were able to, move forward as farmers.
Like it, like it. And that's exactly what we are discussing here. We want to make sure that people understand this. As we talk about a COVID economy and what's going on in the Caribbean, what we're really doing is getting people to restructure and refocus. Focus on, as you mentioned, going back to the basics. Because we've had all of this stuff, but we've negated it. We've pushed it to the side and we looked at the shiny thing and what's the big thing and this, that, and the other. But there are people, and this is what I love. Let me make sure that everyone who is listening on the line is hearing what I'm saying. There are people who make a living off of of baking bakes. Those who are we're on a Caribbean thing, so I can talk about bakes, right? There are people who literally make a living by making bakes in the morning. Breakfast bakes, bakes with cheese,
Yes.
bakes with fish, so on and so forth. There are people who literally make a living off of the land. So I don't need to be commercialized to make a living. So understanding that the Caribbean can live off of the land is another thing that we must get back to the basics for.
Wow.
And let's look at what you said. It is better to eat from the land than to get something that is commercial. So
right.
you're now tapping into the health side. COVID literally just slapped us in the face and said, wake up. Wake up, because you're going down the wrong path. So I believe, as we had heard your husband talk about SME, that this is what is happening right now. We must wake up and we must become ingenuitive again. We must bring innovation back. We must utilize our hands and our head so that we can take care of our livelihood. I believe that wholeheartedly across the Caribbean and even in the United States. We have to get back to the basics. So let me ask you this, Alicia, what has, or shall I say, what type of collaborations have you made in this COVID economy that has proven to be good?
Well, in terms of, well, there are so many different things that are going on, and we are using the same narrative, human equity value. That's the narrative of Women of Golden Rule Trinidad and Tobago, and it's also the narrative that we use in our church, right? Because we are looking at a time, and Dr. Rivers mentioned it also, when we have depressed people, we are looking at a time when we have so many families that are divorced, so many arguments are happening. So what we are looking at different things. We are looking at the value of people, valuing each other, giving each other that consideration. And we are also looking at platforms. You know, even though there's a lockdown all over, we are looking at, like, for instance, for example, what you are doing. This is so great because social media right now is flooded with Civility 360. And if we can do more of this, this is a form of collaboration that's going to pull so many people together and realize that there are a group of people who believe in you, who believe in bringing out your gifts and your talents. So there are so many things that are happening, so many platforms that are coming forth, so many platforms that Dr. Rivers are creating as well. You know, so there are so many, even on the health side, and promoting so many goods and services. So there are different things that we are doing in terms of empowering people and using platforms. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're grateful and thankful for that. You know, I must be honest, as we talk on this platform, you know, many people of color do not believe in going to get help, especially when you're talking about mentally, right? Our community is not really good with saying, I need help. So I'm excited about what you are doing on the health side and helping people to understand that it's okay. You see, life has truly changed. When you have all types of people who could possibly have post-traumatic stress disorder and different things like that, then everybody needs some help, and it doesn't look as if you are ostracized, right? So I appreciate that, and I see that as a great collaboration for many other islands as well. Utilizing the platform that you created to help other islands understand that it's okay. It's okay to need a little help. And what I challenge, if you guys haven't done already, is to make it digital. Because you're currently, you know, helping the people on Trinidad and Tobago, but we are global right now. We have people from all over the world right now. So what's to stop that initiative, if you would? What's to stop that initiative from actually coming forth and going to all the Caribbean islands virtually? So this is something that I believe wholeheartedly about. And that's why these platforms to me are so important, because an
Yeah.
idea, I can tell you right now, I have at least 50 ideas from the conversations that we've had.
Yep.
50, right?
Yep.
But what we do after this is over with is what matters. What
That's
we do,
right.
execution is the key. And what we are searching for is not only to have a solution, but to execute the solution and bring about the evidence and the results. So I'm grateful and thankful for the work that you are doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Great.
Yes, 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 indeed. Let me ask you this, Alicia, if you could, two solutions that you would share with the Caribbean about the COVID economy.
One solution, we don't just rebuild, but we reinvent. That means we go back to basics, and just like how we have these platforms, we don't, as you rightfully said just now, what we do after this is important. So it's just not coming on a platform and talking, but it's forming these platforms as we reinvent things and going back to the basic, and also looking at sitting at the table with people who are different to us, because not everybody will have all the solutions, but you can bring your solution, I bring my solution, we look at everything and we just not rebuild, but we reinvent it, and secondly also, what we look at is I love golden rule. It is number one. Dr. Clyde Rivers push it, and that's why I run with that narrative. If we treat others the way we want to be treated, this world will be such a vast and colorful and great. Greatness will be on each of our path, and goodness is going to follow us wherever we go, because of course it's going to open the doors for us to touch new waters. It's going to extend our borders. It's going to broaden our horizons if we treat people the way that we want to be treated.
Really good.
My. Listen, I mean, come on. This is what it is, folks. I hope that you all are been picking up what we have been putting down. I am super excited to connect and collaborate with each and every person who has been on the panel. But Alicia, thank you so much for your wisdom. It is awesome to have you on the panel. Please hold the line as we continue. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Folks, I'm telling you right now, if you don't have a pen and a pad out, then something is wrong with you. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't shared this stream, then I don't know what you're listening to. You can't be on the Civility 360 page. Sir Clyde Rivers, talk to us a little bit before we bring in our next panelist.
What I'm getting out of this is every region has a unique design. When others come in and try to cloud that design with their design, it always fails. And as those things fail, the ones that hurt are the people that trusted blindly. So what I see now is this whole region of the world is going to own its own self now. Glendon said, Dr. Rutter said something so important. He says, what is this world going to look like? What is this country going to look like after it opens back up? But the small economy is now the power. So this actual virus has transformed the world because it makes every country, it gives every country back its sovereignty. So what is being built in the midst of this sovereignty of each country, now they're building their own. So now they understand that the old institution that they thought were God didn't maintain them in the day of adversity. So in the day of adversity, their faith carried them to what is authentic and original designs for their country. And this is an amazing summit, Professor. Amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. Listen, folks, I cannot tell you, each and every time we get together, it gets better and better. And we are super excited to bring you again from a 360-degree angle around the world. Civility is what it's all about. We truly believe civility needs to be anywhere and everywhere, all the time, anytime. I hope that you understand our heart. I hope that you are listening and that you're picking up these nuggets. And I hope that you are already tapping into the wisdom of the people who are on the panel. This is what it takes for us to move our economy forward. Now, last but not least, I will tell you that this young man is a powerhouse, but you already know this. I will tell you that the accolades are off the charts. I will tell you all of this, but you already know this. I want to bring in my good friend. I want to bring in my partner in purpose, and his name is Dr. Will Moreland. Now, before I bring him on the screen, I need you to understand something. Will Moreland came from a place that he was counted out. Will Moreland came from a place that said he wouldn't get past 18 years of age. Will Moreland was counted out many times, but guess what? He's still here. And the wisdom of the way, the insight, the oversight, the influence that you are about to hear, the strategic mindset that you are about to hear is revolutionary. So I know that we put Will on last. We gave him the last leg of the race, but you will not be disappointed. Give us just 1 second. Bringing Will Moreland to the stage. Please unmute and let's roll. Dr. Will Moreland, how are you, my friend? All the way from St. Martin. How's it going?
Man, I am tremendously blessed. I am fortunate to be a part of this amazing summit. When I think about a little kid from Compton, and now I get to be on this global platform. I want to thank, first off, I want to thank all of my Caribbean brothers and sisters that have embraced me. You guys know I'm originally from the United States, but since I've been traveling to the Caribbean for the last 7 years, they have embraced me. I feel like an adopted son. So I'm excited to be here on the Caribbean platform, on the Caribbean Summit. So thank you guys so much for having me.
My. Go ahead, Sir Clyde.
Dr. Moreland, you are truly, and I would say this anywhere in the world, you're truly one of the, in my opinion, one of the top voices in the world. And you are one of the top voices that empowers people. And you are so selfless. He's a person that gives his best to you. Some people don't give their best. Some people mentor, but they want you to be number two. Dr. Moreland, I've watched you mentor people to be number ones, just like you. So I'm humbled for that. So thank you.
Yes, indeed. Blessings, blessings all the way from St. Martin. You know, we greet you from the home here in Arizona. I'm grateful to have you on, man. I want to dive in and hear your perspective. Of course, it is a little different. Like you mentioned, you're not actually from the islands, but you live in St. Martin, and you've been traveling all around the globe to many Caribbean islands. So let's first start off by going backwards, if you would, in my opinion. What are some of the relationships that you have fortified during and in this economy?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity once again. You know, I've been listening the whole session, and whenever I do anything like this, one of the things that I try to do is hear what everybody is saying, but I also want to hear what the heart of God is saying, so I can then share what I believe the heart of God is. And all while I've been listening, a theme has been coming out, and that theme is human capital. We've been hearing about human capital the last 2 hours. And as you asked me about relationship and relationship development, I can only think back to the book of Genesis, when God told Adam, it's not good for Adam to be alone or for Adam to be all one. We're finding out that relationship is the #1 currency for all of us that have been in our homes quarantined with those we love. We're finding out what we can live without, and we're finding out what we can't live with, right? And so for me, I've been here since last year, October. No one knew that there was going to be a global pandemic. There's no way that I could have survived in this new country if I didn't have relationships. You saw one of my key relationships, Ife Badajo. Ife brought me over to the island 7 years ago by way of a relationship that I have with Dr. Jamal Cummings, who I met while I was living in Germany, serving in the United States Army. So I sit here today on this summit because of relationships. And now we're starting to really see how important relationships are. And so for me, I've worked with the government here in St. Martin. I've worked with business owners in St. Martin. I'm super excited about the human capital. And I've said this since I reached the Caribbean 7 years ago. This place, St. Martin, I call it the jewel of the Caribbean. This place has 130 different nationalities. Every day, I'm challenged to look at my own humanity and how I relate to humanity living on this island with 130 different nationalities. If you're not a lover of people, you won't survive on the friendly island. And so I've been challenged even more to look beyond the face, to look beyond the color, and really begin to see who people are for themselves.
Wow. Dr. Morton, I have a question. There's two pandemics. There's a COVID and there's a fear pandemic. Fear. How, in your perception, do we overcome both of those?
So I believe that history, and that's a great question, Dr. Clyde. I believe history is a great teacher. And this is not the first time the world has faced a pandemic. And so what do we understand about pandemics? Pandemics, they do produce fear. But at the same time, we talked earlier about the psychology, or we talked about the mental state of individuals. Let me say this, what I really believe is happening right now. If you know anything about stocks, and if you know anything about trading on Wall Street or anywhere around the world, you know that about every 6 to 10 years, they have what they call a market correction. Well, what I believe right now, we're having an alignment correction. What is going on is an alignment correction. And everybody has talked about how everybody is now needing to tap back into their skill set, tap back into the basics. And when we go back to the basics, you know, biblically speaking, the basics is the book of Genesis. That's the beginning. And God laid out the blueprint right in Genesis. He says, be fruitful. Be fruitful. You want to succeed. You want to overcome the pandemic. Be fruitful. You want to overcome fear. You overcome fear by being fruitful. And then he said, multiply. Then he said, and this is what I love, because this is where we are right now. He said, fill the earth. All the way back in Genesis, God has been conditioning us to have a worldwide view. And now what this pandemic has done is allowed us to have a worldwide view. Here we are on this summit, and we're bringing people from all around the world, because now we're filling the earth. We're now getting back to God's mandate to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth. And then he says, subdue it. What does that mean? You know, if you follow me, you know this apple has followed me all around the world. I've taken this apple as an illustration of what it means to subdue. When you subdue, I wrote a book years ago called Genius Potential, and it's getting to the core of who you are. And when I ask most people, what do they see when they see this apple? Most people say, I see a fruit. Most people say, I see something circular. Most people say, I see something that you can eat. But when you really look at this apple, what do you see? You see apple pie, apple fritter, apple juice, apple sauce, candied apples. What am I saying? When you begin to tap into your God-given genius, you become unstoppable. See what happens and what we see in the world right now, we have a copycat syndrome, and everybody has lost their individuality, which allows you to lose your genius. When you tap back into the core of your genius, you're unstoppable, because they may not be buying pies today, so I'm going to produce some apple juice. They may not be buying apple juice today, but I'm going to produce some applesauce. They may not want applesauce, then I'm going to make some apple fritters. I'm never going to be without a resource. I'm never going to be without something that's going to allow me to thrive, because the Bible says I'm to be the head only. In spite of COVID-19, that's in spite of a pandemic, I'm to be above only. So whatever has to happen for me to be above only, that's what God is going to allow to produce for me. I tell people this all the time. They say, Dr. Will, you've lived in Germany. You now live in St. Martin. You've traveled to 50 different countries. How are you not afraid? How are you not fearful? Because I tell people this all the time. I understand my God-given skill set, so you could put me in the jungles of Rwanda and I will still be successful, because the mandate on my life is to be above only and not beneath. And Ife said it, and so many others have said it. We certainly don't want to overlook those who have been impacted by this COVID, who have died and lost their life. I just received a call yesterday that a dear friend of mine, both her parents died yesterday because of COVID-19. But the Chinese, they have this thing about crises. They say crises has a duality definition. They say it's problem and it's opportunity. It's problem and it's opportunity. Jesus said, I come that you may have life and life more abundantly. You have to choose what side of the comma are you going to live on. Are you just going to live on the life side? I'm just going to survive. Are you going to live on the life more abundant side? Are you going to thrive? And it's a choice. In the midst of a pandemic, we are all getting the opportunity to make a choice. How are we going to choose to survive? How are we going to choose to thrive? And so to circle back around, Dr. Rivers, what has to happen is a choice needs to be made in spite of the pandemic, in spite of you not knowing your next step, in spite of you not knowing what tomorrow holds, you remember who holds your future.
Amen.
All day, every day. And this is what I'm talking about, folks. He never disappoints every single time. You see, we're living in a time and in a day where people want to make excuses. But as you have noticed on the State of Civility Summit Caribbean, we're not here to make excuses. We want to bring you solutions. We want evidence and results to follow you everywhere that you go. So we've talked about relationships. Now, let me ask you this, Dr. Will, and I know the answer, but I want the people to hear it. What local partnerships have you garnered in this economy, not only to help St. Martin where you are, but to help people globally? Let's talk about that.
So here I have the opportunity to work with the Department of Education, and I get to work with the youth. And that's a big part of my joy, because not only do we need to find ways to thrive in the present, but we also need to secure our future. And so working with the youth allows us to secure our future. And I must say, I am so excited about the ingenuity, about the courage, about the resiliency that I see in the young people here in St. Martin. I've been blown away. You know, Dr. V, from the first time we came to St. Martin, we were always in the schools. We went and we taught at NEPA, and we taught at MPC, and we taught at most of the schools here. And I've just been, since I moved here, I've just been just blown away at the brilliance. Once again, coming back to the human capital that we have. And so for me, I've had the opportunity to work in education. I continue to work with members of the government. I continue to work with entrepreneurs throughout the island. And I am just so honored to be in this place. I feel like Esther for such a time as this. And I believe that mandate is for all of us, for such a time as this. No matter where you sit, whether you sit in the United States, or you sit in the Caribbean, or you sit in Africa, or Europe, or Asia,
yeah,
you were born for such a time as this.
My, man. I am loving this conversation. Once again, if you've been listening, you're watching the replay, I challenge you to share it out. Why? Because there are nuggets, there are jewels, there are, man, just boulders that are being dropped on this summit today. Dr. Will, let me ask you this question before I get to the two solutions. What is the new normal going to look like for businesses when others are not coming to assist? Now, I know we've talked about it a little bit with other people, but I want to hear from your perspective. What is the new normal going to look like for businesses on the islands?
That's the most exciting part of all of this for me. The simple answer is no one knows until you go create that new normal. And that's what we all have the opportunity to do. Go create that new normal. And, you know, let me say this. What we have to begin to understand, you know, as I said earlier, I travel all around the world, and the conversations are usually the same. People want to point at government. People want to point at corruption. People want to point at the politicians. This is what we all need to fundamentally understand. The purpose for government is to help you survive. That's the purpose of government, is to help you survive. The purpose of entrepreneurship is to help you thrive. And when I say entrepreneurship, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go start their own business. I'm saying even if you work a 9-to-5 or traditional career individual, whether you're a police officer, a teacher, whatever that may be, you still need to think like an entrepreneur. What does that mean? It means you need to control your own economy. And so what the new normal is going to look like, hopefully everybody is realizing, you know, I was just reading on Facebook today, a friend posted, they just got a letter from their employer stating that they're going to get furloughed, that they're going to get laid off. And I was so excited as my friend posted, what he posted was that even though they are laying me off, I'm excited for the opportunities that are before me. Once again, we stated earlier, if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to even survive, let alone thrive. And so when we understand that government, they're only there to, there's not one government plan in place that is created for you as an individual to thrive. There's no government plan that's going to make any of you a millionaire. That's not their role. And so once we realize that, and so for those of you, you know, that are impacted by the COVID, I thank God that many of these countries were able to give out grants. If you need the grant, take the grant, but realize that's not going to bring you to the level of thriving. Take that time that the government is helping you survive. Take that time and do what Napoleon Hill said, think and grow rich.
Amen. God is good.
Man, listen, when you talk about genius potential, you talk about speaking and understanding your brand, Dr. Will is definitely your man. Dr. Will, I want you to share your 2 solutions. And man, all I can tell you folks is to get ready, because when we talk about a chief strategist, that's who you're listening to right now.
Yep.
So get your pens and your pads out, and let's talk about, Dr. Will, 2 strategies that you would share with the Caribbean and the world on how to deal with the COVID economy.
Yeah, so I believe we've already covered them, and I'm just going to rehash them. The brilliant speakers that have come before me, they have just done a fantastic and an amazing job. And all I can say is, when we think about human capital, I think number 1, everybody needs to take inventory of their skills. They need to take inventory of their acquired knowledge, and they need to take inventory of their talents and see where that fits in today's economy. Go back into your toolbox. Maybe some things that you learned 15 years ago. Maybe there was a certificate that you earned 5 years ago. Go back into your toolbox. See, one of the things that I've learned is it's never going to look like how you thought it was going to look. We can write down our goals, and we can write down our visions, and we can write down our plans. But what I've learned thus far in life, it never happens. I remember this years ago, almost 25 years ago. I have it written in my notebook. God spoke to me and he says, Will, you're going to impact millions of people. Now, this was before we had Twitter. This was before we had StreamYard. This was before we had Facebook. And Dr. Rivers, in my infancy and in my wisdom, you know, the Bible says his ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts. I literally sat down with a piece of paper and I said, okay, if I'm going to impact millions of people, oh my God, that means I need to talk to at least 10,000 people a day, 300 times a year over the next 20 years of my life, which would have drained me, which would have killed me. But God knew on the horizon, there was going to be a Civility summit that I was going to be a part of, that was going to go global, that was going to go around the world. And so I don't want you to get caught up in the how. Don't get caught up in the how. Don't say, I want to impact the world, but I don't know how. Don't say, I want to make a change, but I don't know how. Focus on the what. What is it that you want to do? You want to change your community? Focus on that. Find one thing you can do every single day to do that. I don't care if it's taking a 3x5 card and writing something positive and saying, you know what? I'm going to hand out this card every single day to somebody. That means you will impact 365 people a year. In 2 years, 700 people. In 3 years, 1,000 people you would have impacted by just giving them this civility card that says you are worth it. You are valuable. You are God's beloved. For God so loved the world that he loved you. And you give these little cards out. Impact opportunity is all around us, ladies and gentlemen. Influence opportunity is all around us, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about the how. I know these two visionaries that put this summit together, Dr. V and Dr. Clyde. They didn't know a year ago that this pandemic was going to happen. They just started out saying the golden rule. Dr. Clyde started out the golden rule. Just treat people better. Honor humanity. And so tap into those resources. And then the second thing, we talked about it, collaborate. Collaborate. Find the people with like-minded ideas as you and collaborate. Stop saying, you know, the majority doesn't want to do this. Find the minority that's committed to making an impact. Find the minority that's committed. I am, you know, when I look at you, Dr. V, and when I look at you, Dr. Clyde, I tell you, I wake up every morning and I come to your pages and I say, okay, what impact are they doing? Because you guys, for me, provide a healthy competition. I want everybody to write that down. Healthy competition. You need people in your life that make you say, man, I'm not doing enough. Man, I'm not doing enough. If Dr. V is doing 7 different programs, I see Dr. Clyde around the world with another world leader, it makes me say, Will, you can do more. Not in a jealous sense, but realizing if they can tap into their human capital and their human potential, I can do the same thing. It's not that I want to do the same thing that they're doing, but once again, what's my red apple? What's my red apple? What's my core? What juice can I make today? So find those people that are like-minded. You know, when we got together, Dr. B and Dr. Clyde, several years ago, it was just like smooth butter. We sat down at a table and our visions just came together. We may say it differently, but at the end of the day, we want to honor people, respect people, and make this world better.
Brilliant.
All day, every day.
Right.
And once again, folks, this is what it's all about. I love the way that Dr. Will put this healthy competition out, because I've always told people to stop competing and start learning how to actually come alongside someone. See, competition is okay this way. Healthy competition. Did you hear what he said? Are you picking up what he's putting down? He says, I have people who I go to their pages just to see what they're doing and how they're using their human capital. Not to say, oh, I could do that better, or man, I can't believe they're doing this. No, if they can do that, then God, what else do you want me to do? And I challenge each and every one of you who are listening, who are watching the replay, who may get this from a friend or whatever the case may be, is to see that you are here to complement, not to compete. And when you recognize that complimenting will get you further than competing, life becomes a whole lot better. Man,
Dr. V.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Moreland, I'm going to create the I Change Nations Dr. Will Moreland Healthy Competition Award. Let me tell you, this narrative needs to go all over. You have a pen within the. We will draw it up, because we have to acknowledge modern day heroes. We are not going to send you roses when you're dead. We're going to send you a lapel pin and honor people when you're alive. And see, you have created a concept that the world needs: healthy competition. That means you just created we all can win. We all can win. So we'll do, and you guys heard it here. We'll get right on it. It's the Dr. Will Moreland Healthy Competition Award.
So let it be written. So let it be
done.
Folks, this is what I'm talking about. We are bringing the best and the brightest from all around the world. And I hope that you have heard something that is transforming your mindset, transforming your life, and helping you to see things from a different perspective. Our goal is always to bring you things from a 360-degree angle, that you can see civility every day, all day, anywhere, everywhere, all the time. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that God is well pleased with what we have done today. So what I'd like to do.
Wait, Dr. V, go ahead, thing.
Yes,
Dr. Moreland, I'd like to have you write a book on healthy competition. Healthy competition, and what like we'll do, we will I want to establish that at our graduate college and seminary in Uganda. I would like to make that an academic curriculum. The actual training grid, so the next generation can do that. So please, healthy competition. I believe he's saying we all can win, and no one has said that lately. If I win, you lose. Healthy competition is I'm not doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, but you inspire me to do my thing. And I believe that's a narrative that the world, that would be a divine interruption from wrong competition. So, man, please pray on that. And I would love to have that.
Here's what I will say to each and every one of you. If you know me and you know Dr. Will, there's nothing to pray about in this regard because it's already who he is. Therefore, you will see the book in UGCSI curriculum. You will see the pens and the medallions come out. But this is what we're talking about, folks. Today is your day. Show up and be ready. Don't wait to get ready. Be ready at all times. And that's what we want to share with you today. Will, I'm going to pull you out just for a moment. Then I'm going to bring the entire team back. Thank you so much for your contribution today. Give us just a second. So, folks, you've been listening to the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. We've talked COVID economy 2020. You've heard dynamic world leaders from around the world talk to you about their solutions, what they see going on their islands, and how they believe they can best serve their islands and others. What I challenge you to do is, one, share this out. Two, take the principles that you've heard and start enacting them in your life. To all of the people who will be coming back on just shortly, we have Dr. Clyde Rivers. We talked about October 15th. October 15th is Caribbean Civility Day. I want each and every one of you to champion Caribbean Civility Day. That's October 15th. I want you to be the key cornerstone on your island to teach people how to be civil. On that day, we will celebrate Caribbean Civility Day. I also would admonish each and every one of you after this call, you will get an email or we will correspond through Messenger for you to understand the pathway forward from this Caribbean Summit. Again, we love the conversation and dialogue, but it's time for us to get to work. And what I share with each and every one of you is that you are the agent of change for that region. Yeah. So get ready because there's great things on the horizon. Sir Clyde Rivers, you can begin. I'm going to bring everyone back in and we'll close everything out.
Perfect. Man.
Can you hear me, sir? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, everyone. I'm excited because we'll be putting an international article out. It'll go to about 2,500 media outlets. We're creating a civility voice for the Caribbean, and what will happen this year? It needs to get exposure. All of your solutions are going to be in, because we're not waiting for anybody else to actually build a stage. We are creating a civility stage, our own self. And please, man, I'm so thankful for every one of you. This is the kind of voice we need coming out of the Caribbean to the world. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you all once again for being part of the State of Civility Summit Caribbean. This is only the beginning. There will be many deliverables that will come forth out of this actual summit. So please watch your emails and Messenger so that we can connect, collaborate, and show the world what partnerships really look like. Again, congratulations to you all. Thank you for your wisdom, your insight, your courage, and thank you for being an agent of change in your region. Blessings, peace, and productivity to you all. And remember, civility first and civility always. Blessings to you. God bless you all.